The King's Speech debate has a convention. Not like a set-in-stone law or a standing order or something like that, but a tradition that both sides generally respect. The day opens light, warm if possible, a joke or two, something that acknowledges the occasion before anyone gets into politics. Kemi Badenoch stood up first, and she opened decently enough. Genuine warmth for the MP for Bradford West, a reasonable line about the King. About 2 minutes of something that suggested she understood what the day required. And then she stopped pretending.
Mr. Speaker, I know the convention is for this to be a light-hearted debate. But as I've already said, this is a highly unusual moment.
She knew. She said that she knew. And then she spent the next 20 minutes ignoring it. Now, some of what followed was politically sharp. The charge that Labour came to power without a plan, it probably could have some real truth to it. The broken promises on council tax, energy bills, the waspy women, the observation that Labour MPs couldn't run a coup properly. I mean, that's fair enough as far as opposition politics goes. The problem wasn't really the attack. It was what the attack kept accidentally revealing. Take housing, for instance. She warned the Chamber that Labour is more than a third down on their new homes target, citing Conservative delivery as the standard to meet.
That the 1.5 million new homes Labour promised had been hung like a millstone around her neck. I knew that they wouldn't be able to meet that target because they didn't understand why more houses weren't being built. Sure enough, they are already more than a third down on their target and well behind what we delivered. Exactly. Of course, Mr. Speaker, in the end, it wasn't 1.5 million homes that did for the former Deputy Prime Minister. It took just one flat in Brighton to bring her down.
The same Conservatives who missed their own housing targets every year they set them. On energy, she wants to scrap net zero legislation because it's strangling industry and driving up bills. It was them that put it into law. On welfare, the bill was spiralling throughout their time in government. And when Kemi lists Labour's 24 U-turn, Liz Truss, who reversed her entire budget in 44 days, goes completely unmentioned. Then there's the ECHR.
If you want to get a grip on illegal immigration and remove foreign criminals from the country, you must have a plan to leave the ECHR and repeal the Human Rights Act. You must.
The solution, she says, is leaving the European Convention on Human Rights and repealing the Human Rights Act. 5 Conservative Prime Ministers looked at this option. Cameron wanted a British Bill of Rights while technically staying inside the convention. May argued for leaving during Brexit campaign, became Prime Minister and dropped it immediately. Johnson kept it under constant review, which is politician for doing nothing. Truss said that she was prepared to leave and then pursued domestic workarounds instead. Sunak warned that he could choose security over membership of any foreign court, refused to make the withdrawal official policy. And in 2024 manifesto was deliberately vague. Not one of them made leaving a manifesto commitment, and not one of them made it a government policy. Kemi is presenting this as a fresh plan. And it's worth being clear about what leaving the ECHR actually means, because the way it gets sold you'd think was purely on an immigration mechanism. It isn't. It is the legal framework that prevents the state from doing what it likes to whoever it likes. The right to a fair trial, protection from torture, freedom from arbitrary detention. These aren't protections for people crossing the channel. They're protections for 67 million people in this country from their very own government. Leaving doesn't just change who gets in. It removes the constraints of what can be done to the people, to you, to me, who are already here. All of this is packaged with the alternative King's Speech. 16 bills. The document even concedes that the previous Conservative governments made mistakes, then presents the policies they failed to deliver as evidence they're ready to govern. She is offering, as an alternative to government in crisis, a to-do list of things that she didn't do. But this is the centrepiece. Reform took over 1,000 council seats last week. They came in second in Scotland. They principal opposition in Wales. And the argument Kemi is making is that Farage is a symptom, that the right policy agenda makes him disappear.
I would say to members opposite, you don't need to be scared of the member for Clacton. I'm not. He is not the cause of Britain's problems. He is a symptom. No. He is. They are still Mr. Speaker, they are still delusional. They are still delusional, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry to puncture the bubble. I am not here to pretend that what is happening is not happening. They can all pretend and live in la-la land. I'm going to speak the truth to them. He is not the cause of Britain's problems. He is a symptom of the failure of the political class to focus on what matters. If you fix the problems that people care about, he goes away.
Maybe. But who was governing for 14 years while that symptom developed, grew and started winning elections? And then, after a tirade of abuse and an intervention, calling out this abuse, it was time for Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, to stand up.
Mr. Speaker, it is so obvious. That is so obvious. I know they don't want to hear it, Mr. Speaker, but this... I know they don't want to hear it. Look at them. They are so arrogant. They want to lead our country. They can't even lead a coup. Handing out more benefits to the only people who will still vote for them because Labour don't understand that poverty isn't created by a lack of benefits. It's created by a failing economy to what the country needs. I know that they're chuntering, Mr. Speaker. Not a single one of them actually dares to intervene on me in this speech. He's chuntering now. Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. Even worse, Mr. Speaker, is what isn't in the gracious speech. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to. You'll know. Even worse, Mr. Speaker. Banned from pubs, banned from hairdressers, which is presumably why all the women on the front bench have the same hairstyle. Now, they can complain as much as they like. I wasn't expecting this to be comfortable for them. They're the ones who are trying to unseat their Prime Minister. They should face that. The realisation, Mr. Speaker, that their legacy is just going to be breakfast clubs and Peter Mandelson. That the government is here laying out a programme as its ministers are resigning and a large proportion of the party is saying that the Prime Minister needs to go. The whole thing is totally illogical. Either Labour MPs agree with this agenda, in which case, why are they trying to get rid of the Prime Minister? Or they don't agree with this agenda, in which case, what on earth are we all doing here? It is time to be brutally honest, Mr. Speaker. It is time to be brutally honest. The country is angry with the entire political class. All of us here. They are not happy with how we have been doing politics. It is time to get serious. I will give way.
The Right Honourable Lady seeks to lecture us on why it is that everyone is so fed up with the political class, but uses this opportunity not to lay out what the Conservatives would do, but to spend her time insulting everybody on this side. Surely that's not the way to proceed.
Oh, I'm not done yet. There is plenty more coming. There is plenty more coming.
He praised the MP for Bradford West, made a joke about her contacting Cristiano Ronaldo's sister to get Marcus Rashford to visit a primary school, and it landed. And for a guy that might not even be in position within a week, he stayed warm, he stayed within the convention.
And can I congratulate him on his amazing fundraising at this year's London Marathon, as has been mentioned. I do understand his disappointment at being overtaken by the Right Honourable Member for Basildon and Billericay. All I can say is there is no shame in losing to someone whose training was so extensive that it involved running all the way from northwest Durham to Billericay.
And then he turned to Kemi.
Let me also thank the Leader of the Opposition for the usual warm and generous nature of her contribution. In difficult days, her input is always a ray of sunshine. I particularly getting tips from her on how to win friends. This is from the person, Mr. Speaker, who previously called us orcs and goons. But, Mr. Speaker, I am a gooner, and so, as usual, she is less than half right. But we do have one thing in common. Our parties both had tough results in the local elections last week. The difference is she hasn't noticed. And Mr. Speaker, there's another difference, Mr. Speaker. We are in government and they are no longer even the opposition.
Brilliant lines. Every one of them a direct answer to what Kemi had just spent 20 minutes doing. He never broke the convention just to get the hit in. He just stood up, played the room correctly, and made her look like she'd misjudged the moment. And if this political kind of accountability is useful for you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and you can support the channel by joining the memberships as well. Oh, and there's one more thing. Throughout all of this, the attacks, the warnings, the I'm not scared of the member of Clacton, the actual member of Clacton wasn't there. On the most ceremonial day of the parliamentary calendar, days after his party's best ever electoral result, Nigel Farage couldn't be bothered to show up. Kemi Badenoch spent a chunk of her speech addressing the man who wasn't even in the building, diagnosing him as a symptom, insisting he disappears once someone has a proper plan. She might even be right about that last part. The party that had 14 years to make that plan is now writing it down and calling it new. The member of Clacton, for his part, had somewhere better to be, because he usually does.